So we now only have 2 games left of this championship season, which is absolutely mental how fast it's flown by. As you can see on screen now, that is how the table is looking like with 2 games to go. And we had some massive results going on Monday, all of which will be discussed in today's video. So what we'll be doing in today's video, we'll be going over all of Monday's games, and as well as that, I'll be giving my verdict on how I see every team finishing the season. So let me know down below how you're feeling with 2 games to go. Whether you're a Leeds fan or a Sheffield United fan, I'm sure you'll be having very contrasting feelings at the moment. We've still got the race for the top 6 going on. So before we do get into talking about some of the games, I will include your guys' comments on screen now. So if any of you did successfully manage to get any of your score predictions correct, then fair play. I managed to get one of mine correct this weekend. That was a Blackburn against Bolton game, so not too bad going from me. But without further ado, let's hop into talking about some of these games. So starting it out with Villa against Millwall, the home side winning this by 1-0, and Aston Villa setting a new club record of 10 consecutive wins, which is an absolutely unbelievable achievement in a league as competitive as the Championship. I think I speak on behalf of everyone when I say that Villa are firmly the favourites to be going up via the playoffs this season. With Leeds stuttering around automatic promotion, I think that most people are fancying them. This one was never going to be an easy game, with Millwall fighting it out near the bottom of the table. They were never really going to be ultimately goal scored in this one. Jonathan Kodjia, who's not really featured all too much for Villa so far this season, got the only goal of the game. Millwall had a couple of chances in the early exchanges for this one, but you really need to be at your top of your game going up against this Villa side at this point in time. In terms of Millwall, the result leaves them 3 points above Rotherham in the relegation zone at the moment. However, Millwall do have a game in hand on Rotherham, and looking at the fixtures, I'd probably say that Millwall need 3 more points from their last 3 games to go on and secure their safety, looking at how much worse Rotherham's goal difference is. And looking at the fixtures they've got left against Stoke, Bristol City and Wigan, I'd fancy Millwall for survival this season for sure. And then we have Blackburn beating Bolton by 2-0. This one probably having a bit of a pre-season vibe about it, with neither side having anything to play for, but Blackburn seem to be on a bit of a roll at the moment. They've now won their last 4 matches, and after hitting a bit of a block earlier on in the season, they seem to be lifting their game for the end of the year, and there is a real chance they could finish the season in the top half of the table. And considering it's their first season back in the league, that'll be a pretty decent achievement. Bolton had some chances going forward, but they were really cut apart by the 2 goals Blackburn scored, the first of which being Ben Brereton, his first goal for Blackburn Rovers, I believe. It's taken him long enough, but it was a well-taken goal in fairness to him. Bolton probably should have done better with defending it. It was quite a simple through ball from Dak after a counter-attacking move. And then in the second half, Adam Armstrong managed to wrap things up, making it 2-0 to the home side after a rebound. These two at the moment are clubs heading in very different directions. Bassini will have looked at that game for Bolton and be thinking about the changes that need to be made going into League One next season, and I think quite a bit of change does need to be made from top to bottom at Bolton, really. And then we had Derby beating QPR by 2-0, what could provide to be a huge result in the push for the top 6 with Derby County. With their away form being a little bit inconsistent of late, this game needed to be all 3 points. Boy, did they leave it late for this one. There was lots of time added onto it, and obviously I couldn't watch the full 90 minutes, but what I've heard from reading some of the match reports, there was quite a bit of time wasting going on from QPR. But in fairness to QPR, they themselves had some decent chances going forward, and you know, Derby were really faltering in front of goal. They were doing everything to try and get that breakthrough, but it just wasn't coming for them. They'd hit the post and gone close on multiple occasions. QPR were also having some dangerous attacks going forward as well, until eventually they were awarded the penalty in the 94th minute. Wilson took that away, and then into 11 minutes of stoppage time, Wilson managed to wrap up the game, making it 2-0 to Derby after a slick counter-attacking move. And the result puts Derby in pole position for making it into the top 6. They are lifted into 6 at this point in time. They have a game in hand on Middlesbrough, but looking at their fixtures, I don't think they've got any easy games between now and the end of the season. They've got Bristol City, Swansea and West Brom. All 3 of those are really tricky games for Derby to come through. So if they do go on and make it into the top 6, they'll fully deserve it with that tough run in. And then we had Sheffield United taking a massive step towards automatic promotion. Considering Leeds' result this weekend as well, we had Sheff Utd beating Hull by 3-0 in what was arguably their hardest remaining fixture left of this season. They pretty much had this game wrapped up in the first half, scoring all 3 goals. The pick of the goals had to be David McGoldrick's second. Absolutely superbly taken. He got his head up outside the box and brilliantly looped the ball into the back of the net. McGoldrick's probably been one of the best bargains of the season, picking them up from Ipswich this summer. In the absence of Billy Sharp, he's been the striker who has stepped up, and then it was Ender Stevens who got the third. To get a clean sheet as well is going to be a really good omen going into the final few matches for United. Hull at home so far this season have been a really strong outfit, and with Sheffield United having the superior goal difference to Leeds, it probably does mean they only need 1 victory from their remaining 2 fixtures now to go on and confirm it. And considering their next game is against Ipswich at home, that one really should be where it is wrapped up for them. But what an achievement to get this Sheffield United team promoted. Chris Wilder has just done an absolutely unbelievable job there. The way the club's run as a whole, I think, is absolutely fantastic, to be honest. They've invested very wisely into certain players. They've utilised the loan market well. All the fans are on board with the project going on at the club at the moment, and it's just been an unbelievable rollercoaster season for them. And then we had Swansea beating Ipswich by 1 1-0. The result leaves Swansea 5 points away from the top 6, and that's probably not going to happen for them, although they do have a game in hand, which is against Derby County, so that could be a really tasty one for Swansea. And really, if they sorted out their away record sooner in this season, they could have really gone on to do something this year. But I would say still that Graham Potter's done an excellent job with this side so far, and probably has gone a little bit under the radar with the mainstream media, really, considering all the turbulence that's gone on above him at Swansea throughout the season. Potter's kept this squad ticking over nicely, and if he was to get the backing over the summer, you'd really fancy Swansea to do something next season. For this one though, Ipswich showed a big improvement from their last outing against Preston off end. They managed to just about keep Swansea at bay up until the 57th minute, where Routledge gave them the lead. Ipswich had a bit more about them going forward this time than they did last week against Preston, but just couldn't get anything over the line, and 1-0 to Swansea was how it finished. And then we had Forest beating Middlesbrough by 3-0 in what was probably one of the most unpredictable results this weekend. Forest were on a terrible run of form before this, but João Carvalho has come back into the side for this game, and they absolutely ripped Middlesbrough apart. Why Carvalho has been sat on the bench for the past few weeks, it absolutely baffles me, because in this game he was causing this Borough side all sorts of problems. In terms of key passes going forward, successful dribbles, Carvalho was central to everything good Forest were doing. Lolly opened the scoring in the first half for Forest. Miliosevic then smashed one in the second half, and then Joe Lolly got the third, which was assisted by João Carvalho. Carvalho was a little bit unlucky not to get a goal himself. He had a really nice looping effort, which just came off the post. But I think the match stats from this game speak for themselves, really. Middlesbrough were never in it, and the result now leaves them outside of the playoffs with Derby above them, and Derby also have a game in hand. So realistically, Middlesbrough need to win their last 2 matches of this season if they do want to stand the chance of making it into the top 6. Those are against Reading and Rotherham, so I don't think that either of those 2 games are particularly easy for Borough. And then we had Reading against West Brom finishing as a goalless draw. I was completely off with my prediction for this one. I fancied there to be quite a lot of goals in this one, really. It probably wasn't helped by the fact that Reading suffered a couple of injuries in the first half. Yakin Mete and Nelson Oliveira, probably their 2 most potent attackers, both had to go off injured, so maybe after that a more cautious game was on the cards. But both teams had some good chances for this one. I thought that both goalkeepers, Martinez and Sam Johnson, came up with some big moments for their team. Sam Johnson especially, I thought he probably needed to have a big performance after his game last week, where 2 mistakes from him probably led to 2 goals. One particular free kick from Lewis Baker for Reading looked destined to go into the top corner, but Sam Johnson got a really strong hand to it. West Brom had some good chances to open the lead. Rodriguez hit the post, and like I say, Martinez for Reading was busy for the majority of the game. But the result has confirmed West Brom's place in the playoffs this season, and it has pretty much confirmed Reading's survival. They would need to be quite a big swing in goal difference between themselves and Rotherham if they were to go down this season. So it's been a good couple of months lately for Reading under Jose Gomez, and you feel like if he is backed over the summer, then this Reading squad really could do something then. Villa against West Brom in the playoffs though, that is going to be a fascinating encounter. And then we had the game which could have sealed Rotherham's relegation down to League One, losing 3-1 against Birmingham. Looking at Rotherham's next 2 fixtures against West Brom and Middlesbrough, they'd need to win both those games, and they are relying on Millwall slipping up as well, with them having 3 games left to play this season. For this one, it was Rotherham who took the lead as well in the first half through Crooks getting the goal, but in the second half, Birmingham really turned it on, and 3 quite well-taken goals managed to wrap this one up, really. Looking at the match stats of this game, and looking up at the highlights of this one and everything like that, it was Birmingham who probably were the better side and did deserve to go on to win this game, but like I say, it was probably a must-win for Rotherham, which they've not won. And then we had Wednesday beating Bristol City by 2-0, a result which really goes on to dent Bristol City's hopes of making it into the top 6, but you can never underestimate this Wednesday side. They put in a really good performance last time against Norwich City, drawing that game 2-2. And in this one, Barry Bannon, wow, what a performance he had. He scored an absolute stunner for the first goal from about 30 yards out, got his head up, and Max O'Leary, the Bristol City goalkeeper, has had some top performances lately, so it was always going to take something special to beat him. But what a strike that was from Barry Bannon. And then soon after that, in the first half, he lifted the ball over the Bristol City defence perfectly into Lucas João. He kept his composure in front of goal, lifted the ball over Max O'Leary, and after taking a deflection, that made it 2-0 to Wednesday. Bristol City did have a couple of chances. They had a nice give and go between Jeju and De Silva, which he just put wide, but they just weren't able to get back into this game. It leaves Sheffield Wednesday 9th in the table, 4 points off the top 6, and the question I asked to Wednesday fans is, where do you see yourselves being next season under Steve Bruce? You know, the total contrast between Wednesday now under Bruce and at the start of the season, with pretty much what is the same squad and same group of players, is absolutely staggering to see. So anything's possible for them next season. In terms of Bristol City, you do feel as if this is quite the opportunity missed, but their next game is at home against Derby County, and that really could be the decider for who makes it in. And then we had Stoke drawing 2-2 with Norwich having the chance to secure promotion on Monday, but that not being the case, although they have pretty much all but guaranteed their place in the Premier League next year with a 6-point lead over Leeds at the moment, and they do have the superior goal difference as well. So just one more point now for Norwich will do the trick. But this one, a bit of a banana skin potentially against Stoke. Norwich lately have been turning into a bit of draw merchants during their last 4 matches in the league. For this one, Hernandez gave Norwich the lead in the first half, a nice goal in at Jack Butland's near post. Stoke got back into it in the second half before Pukki got Norwich back in front once again. However, after a slip from Hernandez, Edwards was able to get in and make it 2-2. Probably the only criticism of this Norwich side so far this season would be that they have leaked maybe a few too many goals at times. You know, looking at their defence compared to the likes of Leeds and Sheffield United, they have conceded considerably more goals. So that'll be an area where Daniel Farke will have to look into over the summer and going into the Premier League. But nevertheless, it has been a fantastic season for Norwich. In terms of Stoke, I'm really not sure what to make about them at the moment. Under their new manager, it's been a few months now. I really can't tell how I think they'll do next season. And then we have Wigan securing their championship status for next season by beating my team Preston by 2-0. A bit of a disappointing performance from North End, really, considering this one being a bit of a local encounter. I thought the players would be a little bit more up for it. We weren't helped by the fact we went down to 10 men in the first half, but even despite that, we were already 1-0 down after 11 minutes had gone. The ball was whipped into the box. Ben Davies with a bit of a butched clearance. The ball fell to Naismith inside the 6-yard box, and he only had to square the ball into Leon Clark for him to have a tap in. The red card was just really bizarre. Ryan Ledson the ball was up in the air, and Ryan Ledson decided to go for a really sort of unnecessary acrobatical clearance. He caught the Wigan player, and the referee sent him off for a high boot, and I mean, yeah, you can see why the red's been given there. Despite being down to 10 men, we looked a little bit better in the second half, put the Wigan defence under a bit of pressure. They were looking a little bit shaky at times, but nothing was quite falling for us, and eventually Wigan made it 2-0, which did go on and wrap up the game. So you can sort of tell from Preston's standpoint that we've not got anything to play for anymore, where the result goes to keep Wigan up in the Championship for another season. And I've said it throughout the season, really, I still feel as if that Wigan squad is capable of a bit better. If they do have a decent summer transfer window, I still think they've got some good players in there. And then to finish things off, we had Leeds losing against Brentford, losing back-to-back games, which has put Sheff United in pole position for promotion with 2 games to go. Realistically, Sheffield United only need one more win now, with them having the superior goal difference against Leeds. So it is looking more than likely that this side will be going into the playoffs this season, and it makes for a really interesting psychological battle, with Leeds at one point looking like they may have automatic promotion secured. They've thrown that away in the last 2 games. I'm interested to know where the mindset of these players will be. You'd expect them to probably come out as winners against whoever does finish in 6th place, whether that be Derby, Middlesbrough or Bristol City. You'd expect Leeds to just about get past them, but in the final against either Villa or West Brom, it would make for a fascinating watch. Brentford away also probably wasn't the easiest fixture to go into, with Leeds' record away at Griffin Park so far, and the fact that they can be one of the best free scoring sides in the league. Neil Maupay always likes to step up in an occasion like this. He did that to give Brentford the lead just before half time. There were a couple of instances where the Brentford defence was looking a little bit dodgy, but eventually Sergi Cass in the second half went to wrap up the game, making it 2-0 after a really nice slick counter-attacking move which involved Ollie Watkins, Neil Maupay and then Sergi Cass, all the front 3 linking up for a fantastic goal. And throughout the season there have been 3 outstanding teams in the Championship. You know, Norwich, Sheff United and Leeds have been by far the front runners for pretty much all of this season, but for Leeds to throw it away at this occasion, I don't know where the players' heads will be at and the performance levels will be at going into the playoffs now. So the question I ask the Leeds fans is, if it is the playoffs, which it's looking like it will be, how confident are you going into them? But guys, there were all the games that went on Monday. In terms of the best result, I'd probably give that to Sheffield United. Beating Hull by 3 goals away from home is no easy feat. They went and did that. They then put the pressure on Leeds, and Leeds couldn't live with that. There were also some fantastic goals scored, but in terms of the best goal, I'd probably just give that to Barry Bannon for his excellent effort against Bristol City. And then in terms of the league table, who's going to make it in where, I think we're all pretty much agreed that Norwich will probably go on to win the title, despite drawing a lot of games recently and Sheffield United making up quite a bit of ground on them. I think they will pull their finger out for the last 2 games and they will go on to secure that. The same can be said for second place as well. With United's remaining fixtures, I'd be astonished if they blew it from there. The playoffs then looks like it's going to be between Leeds, West Brom, Aston Villa, and then one more club between Derby, Middlesbrough, and Bristol City. So I want to know from you guys, who do you fancy for promotion for the end of the season? But apart from that, guys, that will now wrap it up for this video. So if you did come to enjoy, make sure you leave a like. It is always massively appreciated. As well as that, make sure you subscribe for some regular Championship content. But apart from that, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.